Good morning. My name is Rebecca Smekla. I'm here from the Department of Educational Technology to deliver our second in a series of five. Lumio by Smart presents SDPB Code Club. Today's theme, Lost in Space. Before we get started, though, as always, a little bit of housekeeping. Use the chat box to communicate. If you haven't already, like and subscribe our channel. You may see some moderators in the chat with wrenches. As always, share on social media at EdTechPBC. We'd love to see what you're doing with your students in class. There's also the hashtag CS Everywhere that is sponsored by CS Ed Week and Hour of Code. So keep tagging people in social media. Um, but today we have with us Dan Schoeneman from Smart. Thank you for being here, Dan, and I'm going to let him take it away.
Thanks, Rebecca. Happy to be here and welcome to Smart Code Club, Lesson 2, Lost in Space. So right now you guys are looking at Lumio by Smart, formerly Smart Learning Suite Online. And those of you watching, if you'd like to join us and interact with this activity, just to showcase a little bit of what you can do in Lumio, up here at the top I can click on the people. And there's also a banner that just showed up on your screen. If you go to hellosmart.com and enter this class ID 650367, you could join this Lumio lesson and participate during our introduction before we jump into Scratch and start doing some coding. So I'll give you a second to look at that, and keep in mind we will have the banner up as well. All right, so while you're getting joined, we'll see if we get a few people on. The main idea for this lesson is computer science standards and objectives is being able to look at how to repeat parts of an algorithm by placing them in a loop. Right, it's very important. It's a higher level of coding that makes your coding a little more effective. You'll be able to explain the difference between a repeat until and a forever loop. You will be playing around with the Cartesian plane or coordinate plane to move your sprite or your characters, and you will also be able to nest loops. So it's very exciting. Some great things you're going to be learning about sequences, events, loops, and conditionals. So we're going to be heading to the moon. In this activity, you'll send your astronaut to space with a moving rocket ship. So to interact with this next part, I'm going to move down and show you one of our features in Lumio is you can take a slide that normally would just be a static slide the students could see and convert it so that it could become a workspace or a handout. A handout would provide a copy for every student, or a workspace would actually put everybody together in one lesson. So again, if you want to join, right now we just have Harper, our guest here, but I'm going to make this a collaborative workspace. If I did a handout, again, it would go to everybody. I'm going to do a workspace. Since we only have one person, it's just going to bring that to the single user that's in right now. We'll do everyone on one team, and I'll model here for you how you can use the tools in this workspace. So the way it works, you're going to use the coordinate grid to describe how you would get from one rocket to another. So if you've ever played like Battleship or some of those games, you get a little bit of idea of how coordinates work. So as an example, to get rocket ship B to rocket ship F, I'd have to find B, and then I'd have to find F down here. So I'd have to go over 6. You always go your horizontal movement first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I would go down 1, 2, 3. So it'd be 6, 3. So we do have like 3 people in here now. Let me see if I can. Well, you get the idea. So this actually lesson is available for you to access afterwards. So if you want to launch this lesson with your own students, you can just convert this into a handout or a workspace, and the students could interact with it and start entering in their numbers on here. You'd be able to see how the group's doing as well as which students had contributed in which part. All right, I'm going to move on to the next page and get ready. You guys ready to code and understand a little bit about the Scratch's project editor page. So this is another nice feature for teachers out there who are going to be using this lesson. there's a little review activity here. So I'm going to start this match 'em up activity. And all of you that have joined, the 4 of you, can test this out and practice to see if you can tell which of these icons matches the description over here. So for instance, if I know delete sprite, well, I see a trash can and a sprite. So I'm going to try putting that here and delete sprite. And if it's a match, they go on up there. And so you could keep working on that. This is a great way just to refresh if the students had just started learning Scratch, to learn a little bit about the different areas in Scratch and what works and how it works. So those 4 people that have joined can practice that, and it's just another awesome way to get things introduced and to use the power of Lumio to make it engaging for the students, but also prepare them for the activity that's coming up. Speaking of the activity that's coming up, I'm going to be turning this over to John in just a second. You guys, the students at Starlight Cove already have a link to get into Scratch, but for teachers who are going to be using this lesson, there's an icon right here, this little world that will, when you click it, will open Scratch and take them to the lesson. And now that we're getting in Scratch, that's going to be the end of my part. I'm going to pass this on to John.
Hey there, Dan.
Hey, John, good to see you. Wow, where are you at?
I'm lost. I'm
Oh
in
my God.
space and I'm lost.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we're going to help using code to kind of get me back.
Oh, that sounds like
So
fun.
let's start off with the activity here. So I think I can take, we'll work with this on. So, okay, so we've got our Scratch already open here. So we've got to delete our kitten here, and we're going to add a backdrop. So I go down here to the far right corner where it says choose a backdrop. I'm going to look for one, and I'm going to go to space. And I've got a nice star field over here. So there's my star field. And I'm going to use a sprite. I'm going to use a couple of sprites, actually. I'm going to use a sprite that's going to be a rocket ship. There's my rocket ship. It's going to go over here. And I also need another one for our Earth. We're going to get me back to Earth. So I need to code my way back to Earth. So there it is, Earth. I'm going to resize it down here where it says size. I'm going to mark it down to 50%. There we go. And then move it in the far right corner. And I'm going to reduce my rocket ship. And there's another way I can do it besides using the size right here. I can click on the rocket ship and go over here to costumes. And I can click on the rocket ship and make sure it's selected here. There we go. And use these little turns to turn that. And I need to turn my clouds too, don't I? Just turn those, move those over here. There we go. And I'm going to click back on code, and I'm going to reduce my spaceship by 50% as well. There we go. We move it down to the bottom corner. So we've got to get my spaceship. This is me right here. I need to get home. So we're going to use some of our coding blocks. So we're going to go over here to events, and we need to start with when this is checked, when the flag is checked, that starts our code. Okay, green starts their code, okay? And then we're going to start with some motion next. So we're going to go over here to motion, and I'm going to say point in direction. So I'm going to here to point in direction. I click that code and I make sure it attaches, and I'm going to move it to 0. There we go. That's what the directions tell me to do. And then I'm going to get to go to. Now, this uses a lot of math. This uses X and Y coordinates. If you remember the coordinate planes like this, you've got to set them. So we're going to set these to minus 150, minus 150. All right. And then we're going to point to, and we wanted to point to Earth. So I click on point to Earth. And then I'm going to say glide. Glide means it's going to like soar. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to go too fast. So I'm going to say glide to 0, 0. All right, so I say 0, 0, and we're going to turn this into 5 seconds. And I'm going to like click that flag. Oh, come on, get me home. Come on. Oh, you know what? It only took me halfway. It only took me to 0, 0. So if you guys remember your coordinate planes, 0, 0 is right in the middle. So that's what it did. It actually moved me to the right in the middle. All right, so I can tweak that if I need to. I'm gonna like actually do something else though. I'm actually gonna do a loop here. So I'm gonna get rid of the glide here. And we talked about loops in this lesson. So I'm gonna move this out and I'm actually just gonna delete it. I delete it with my keyboard. I'm gonna do a repeat. I'm gonna go down here to do these repeats. These are what they call loops. You've got a repeat loop, which is going to be where you specify it, or you've got a forever loop, which means it's going to loop over and over and over. And if you notice it, it's got some kind of space in the middle. This is where I'm going to add a move into it. So I'll go back to the blue, move. There we go. And I'm going to do just add one more. Let's see, add a glide. There we go. We'll make it 5 seconds. Glide to Earth. And watch it go. All right, yay, we made it home. So we've got some students that are actually doing this lesson right now out at Starlight Cove. So we're actually going to switch gears, and I'm going to throw it over to my friend Dana Rubenstein, who's at Starlight Cove with Christy Connors. And she's going to talk about what's going on there. Dana?
Thank you, Code Cadet. I'm so happy you made it back to planet Earth. So we are here at Starlight Cove Elementary, and I'm so excited to introduce Mrs. Connors, the extraordinary media specialist, who's going to be teaching her 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders more about the lesson that you've just seen. So we're going to switch this camera around and hand it over to Mrs. Connors.
All right, everyone. So we watched our Lumio lesson. We are ready to now code. We have already set our backdrop. We've set our 2 sprites. And you're going to be able to code and make the rocket ship glide to the Earth. So we are going to start on our yellow events code. So make sure you click the yellow dot. You can see all your yellow events. We need 1 block. From here, we're going to slide over the when clicked. That's the only one you're going to need. So use your mouse pad or your touchpad to slide that over. Okay. And then we're going to switch to our motion, which is our dark blue dot at the top. It's going to take you a second to switch to look through because there's a lot of different options. The first thing you're going to look for is going to say point in direction. So you're going to slide up the point in direction and hook it to the when clicked. So give yourself a second to find that and go ahead and add that to your run. Point in direction, it's going to say 90. We're going to leave it at 90 for now. Okay. The next block you're going to go find is the one that says go to X, Y. You're going to see the numbers 172 with a minus and a minus 85. So that's your second blue block. You have to scroll through to find it. There's a lot of choices there. So point in direction, go to X, Y. And this is going to stay here. So in case you have to look back for it. It's just leave it whatever number it says. We're just going to leave it. Then our third blue block is going to say point towards. And in the option, it's going to say mouse pointer, but we're going to change that to Earth. Just like we change our numbers in our coding, we're going to change that to say Earth. And our last blue block is going to say glide to, and we're also going to change that to Earth. Okay. So now your rocket ship is going to glide to the Earth. So when you're ready and you have all 4 of those blocks, you're going to press the when clicked and your rocket is going to glide to the Earth. You can change the seconds. This is 1 second. You can make it a little bit longer. I wouldn't go any larger than 10. Okay. And then after you make your rocket ship glide to the Earth, you're kind of on your own to explore all the different other coding tabs there are I know which one your favorite's going to be. You can make your rocket ship say something. You can type it into say something. That's going to be under the events tab as well. You can add a space monster or any other sprites you want. And see if you can make your rocket ship glide back from the Earth all the way back to its starting position. See if you can do that. All right, so click it after you have your 4 pieces of code and see if your rocket ship glides to Earth.
Let's take a peek at what the students are working on.
Whatever direction works for you. See? Got it going.
What happened to my rocket ship?
Yeah, you can add whatever other sprites you want. You want to add an astronaut? You can add an astronaut.
Oh, I'm seeing that.
Oh, yes, he is an astronaut. Perfect. See? See how fast it went? So you can change your seconds if you want to make it go a little bit slower.
Can I make this empty?
Click the green flag. There it goes. See? And you can change it to however many seconds you want it to be.
I'm gonna make it go slow.
The longer the seconds are, the slower your rocket will glide. If you leave it at 1, it will get there really quickly. Change it to the speed that you would like. And then once you have those 4 pieces of code, you are free to add any of the other code you would like to your sprites.
Miss Connor?
You can angle it a little bit more if you want. You want to go back to your rocket ship? Go back to costume.
Miss Connor?
Right here?
No, when I'm Miss Connor, but it's going like this.
And that's okay, because that works for you.
I don't know what happened to my rocket ship.
That's okay. Let's go back to your rocket ship and push costume. Right here. And then you can angle it the way you want it to be. Okay? You can change the angle the way you want it to be.
No, I mean this one.
And that's not wrong because it's the way you coded it. So it's fine. So now you can start adding your sounds. You can add your other sprites. You can add some events. You can type. Make your rocket ship say hello to the Earth. Perfect. You can change it to however you like it. Yes, if your rocket ship's too big, you can make it smaller. Perfect.
All right, they're doing an amazing job, and they're actually going beyond the actual directions. But that's what's great about Scratch, is that you can actually start something and you can actually build on it. So I'm going to show you a little bit about some of the why we should teach the coding and stuff like that. So as we're teaching the coding, we need to think about all the math skills that we're doing, all the language arts skills that we're doing, all of the art skills and stuff like we're doing. If you look at my screen on my computer, I can show you some of this, the math that we're building. That's very important. So like when we're talking about the X and the Y, that's math all the time. Counting, you've got to count, which we do in the primary grades. And the repeat is very important because it's repetition. It's part of the math process. It's very computational thinking. And it talks about time factors. And all that's involved in travel into space. It's also part of coding. So it's all some great activities. So I'm going to see if we're ready to hear from some of our friends at Starlight Cove that's actually going to talk about how the Scratch activity is going and how much they like coding, or what they would do if they could do different, because that's what's great about coding is things can change and you can make changes all the time. So let's see, are we ready to talk to, oh yeah, we're ready to talk to some of our friends.
Yes, we are. So John, we have some students that would love to hear and talk about their wonderful coding. So this is Jax. And Jax, can you tell us a little bit about the activity that you did today and what you liked about it? And speak real loud.
The activity I did today was doing coding and making a rocket ship go back to Earth. And I really liked it because it was just interesting and fun to do.
What was so fun about it?
That it just flew so fast to it.
Did it feel like a video game?
Yeah,
A little bit. So did you feel like you were learning code, or was it more of gaming?
It was more of a gaming to me.
Thank you so much for sharing that today. We appreciate you.
Jack.
So now I'm going to let her introduce herself. Go ahead and tell everyone your name.
Hi, my name is Wishly Gumless.
Thank you so much. And what did you like best about today's activity?
I like that, you get to move the rocket towards Earth and move it back again, and being creative on it. You get to set your own background.
Oh, so you like to set your own backgrounds and show some creativity?
Yeah.
That's so nice to hear. Is there if you could talk to Scratch, would you give them any recommendations to make it better?
No, not really.
You like it just the way it is?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to let this young lady introduce herself as well.
Hi, my name is Hasara Collins.
And if you could do something different in the activity today, Lost in Space, what would it be?
Nothing really. I really like it.
Well, you heard it here, everyone. This group loves Lost in Space, so she wouldn't change anything. Do you like coding?
Yeah, I love it.
And how long have you been coding?
For about 3 years now.
About 3 years?
Mhm.
And what is your favorite part about coding?
That you can be yourself and you can just express yourself on how you can code. You can just express your creativity and what you can just turn your thoughts into a reality.
That is so insightful. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. And now, our next young man, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Dion Gill.
Thank you. And how do you like today's activity, Lost in Space?
I love it. It's really cool.
What's so cool about it?
Is that you can change the angle of it. Like you can make it a little more creativity.
More creativity? Do you do other lessons within Scratch as well?
Yes, I do.
And what other ones do you like?
I don't think I know any because I like them all.
You like them all. You can't pick a favorite.
No.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And here we have, go ahead.
Elijah. Hi, my name is Elijah Williams.
Thank you, Elijah. And Elijah, do you think that you could possibly have a career with coding?
Yes.
And why do you think that?
Cause
Do you
You
see
can
yourself
really,
pursuing coding in the future?
you can make building stuff on it. You can do whatever you really want with it.
Anything that you want. Exactly. That is so great to hear. Thank you so much to all of these students and to Mrs. Connors here at Starlight Cove. Back to you all.
All right. I want to show you where you can get these lesson plans because that's really important because they're on our website, which is edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. If you go to our website, we've got a whole list of things here, but over here is Hour of Code. Sometimes it gets buried under previous events and stuff like that, but around this time of year, we'll keep it out for a couple of weeks. We have it right here. And if you go to our website, down here is our Hour of Code webpage, and we've got lots of activities for Hour of Code. We even have some great lessons that our curriculum and teaching and learning have developed that are aligned to the scope and sequence. But right here is our big thing right here, which is our Lumio hashtag STBBC Code Club. And this is really important. Before I click on that, I wanted to let you know that our playlist will be here and we will link to all these videos. So if you missed one and you want to follow along step by step, you can come back to the video. But this is our smart team has done a great job of creating these lessons, and we've posted the lesson plans right here with links to the Lumio activity and all the links here. And each one of these lessons is each one of the lessons for each one of these days. And down here at the very bottom are some great unplugged activities. If you want to send a sheet home with your students today, you can click on this Lost in Space, and they don't need any technology whatsoever. It's just a handout that they can go and they can have the directions and create the activity that supports this lesson at home. So they can do this at home whenever they want to. All right. So this has been a great day of learning and stuff like that. I want to thank all of our friends at Starlight Cove. We appreciate you, and we really liked how you did the activity. You are very creative. And Rebecca?
Thank you, John. I just want to thank Code Cadet and Dan for being here from SMART. From the entire educational technology team, we thank you for joining us. As always, visit us at edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. Back here tomorrow for lesson number 3. Hope to see you all there.
Bye, everybody.